everyone. So today in this video I will be explaining you all the structures that emerge at the periphery of the parotid gland. What we see here is the parotid gland. Okay, so these are the structures that emerge from it. What do we have in these structures? These structures include arteries, veins and nerves. Okay, so first of all, above the parotid gland we have the acoustic meatus. Okay, and just medial to the acoustic meatus we have a nerve. What do we call it? We called it the auriculotemporal nerve. We have the temporal bone here. Acoustic meatus is related to auricles, and auricles is related to a ear. Okay, so what do we name this nerve? We name it as auriculotemporal nerve because it supplies both the inside the acoustic meatus and in the temporal bone. What do we have after that is the superficial okay, so let's learn veins beforehand. There are basically three types of veins. So we just now have told you that there is the temporal bone over here. So from the base of the parotid gland is on the upper side, right? From the base of the parotid gland the superficial temporal vein emerges. Then from its medial side we see the retromandibular veins. Okay, these two, both of these are the retromandibular veins. One is the anterior one and the other one is the posterior one. After these being the retromandibular veins, now we move forward to the posterior auricular vein. Okay, so we are done with three types of veins. Now let's move to the arteries. What do we have? We have a superficial temporal artery just besides the superficial temporal vein. Then we have a second artery, which is the transverse facial artery. A transverse facial artery arises over here. Transverse facial artery. Okay, now we have a lot of nerves. The nerves are auriculotemporal nerve. Then we have branches of facial nerve. What I have told you all beforehand is that the temporal bone lies over here. So which branch of the facial nerve should emerge from here? It is the temporal branch of facial nerve. Let me write it for you. This is the temporal branch of facial nerve. Okay, now beneath the temporal branch of facial nerve we have the transverse facial artery, and we have a parotid duct that emerges from the parotid gland. Above this parotid duct, above and below both sides we have two nerves arising. Okay, these are branches of which nerve? Facial nerve, and this passes into the buccal cavity. Hence, like both of these nerves go to the buccal cavity. One of them is the upper buccal branch of facial nerve, and the other one is the lower buccal branch of the facial nerve. Now we can see there is one more nerve present over here. What is that? It is the, see, first of all we have the temporal bone. Then coming to the cheek region we have the zygomatic bone. Then we have the buccal area beneath that. So first we see the temporal branch of facial artery. Then what might this be? This is the, which bone is the zygomatic bone? So it's the zygomatic bone, zygomatic branch of the facial artery. Beneath that we have the upper buccal branch of the facial artery, and beneath the parotid duct we have the lower buccal branch of the facial artery. Now which bone should we be noticing in this area? This area might have the mandible. You're right. So which branch might this be? This is the mandibular branch of the facial nerve. Also we have the vertebrae. Okay, there is the, so we have a cervical branch to it. Somewhere over here we can see a cervical, because there are cervical vertebrae, right? Cervical branch of the facial nerve. So let us just revise the nerves once again, since there are a lot of nerves. Firstly we saw the auriculotemporal nerve, then there is the temporal nerve, then we have the zygomatic branch of facial nerve, then we have the upper buccal branch of facial nerve followed by lower buccal branch of facial nerve. What do we have then? We have the mandibular branch of facial nerve. Then we have the facial branches of the facial nerve. Then we have one more nerve that remaining over here. It is the posterior auricular nerve. Okay, the auricular temporal and the posterior auricular nerve are present surrounding the acoustic meatus. Thank you for watching. I'll try to improve, and yeah.